Well, good morning. I think this is going to end up being a very casual session, I think, which is fine with all of us. We've got a nice small group here. So, the title of this session is The New Age of Science, which, sounds like it should be scientists on a hill with the sun rising behind them and, striding off into the future. But it's really more about sort of, what changed last November and the impact that's having on all of our missions and how we approach serving our communities that we represent and support them. And so we've got two great panelists here today, Raj Pandya, who's the director of the Thriving Earth Exchange at the American Geophysical Union, and Celeste Rolfing, who is the COO of ACCESSE. So you're probably familiar with both of those organizations. Big scientific societies, movers and shakers, in the science arena. And they're going to share a couple of brief cases from each of their organizations about how they're approaching advocacy and having an impact in the world. They're very different approaches we're going to talk about. And then I've got some questions to ask. We'll just see how it goes. We just may move to a dialogue about your organizations, theirs and ours, and how we can all move forward together. You were talking earlier about how I think of the issues that on my side of the entomological side, we're insect scientists. We were engaged on, very concerned about sequestration and the impact that was going to have on funding in several federal agencies where members work. NSF had proposed cutting some funding for national collections. Our members were very concerned about that and were up in arms. And looking back, that all seems very cute now and a pleasant time. So there's new threats now, and if you look at the proposals that have come from President Trump's administration about budget, both for finishing out 2017 and then for the next fiscal year, very severe cuts proposed pretty much across the board, with a few exceptions. But yet, I think there's hope. I mean, if you look at the funding situation as they closed out the last fiscal year and continued that money, that was much better than what the administration had proposed with science funding. So I think there's still champions on the Hill for science in both parties, as well as within the administration in various places. So it's not all doom and gloom, but it seems to be a new environment. So how do we collect and exert influence on behalf of our members in order to support them and help the country move forward scientifically, which is so critical for us. So I hope that's sort of what we'll talk about today, and leave some lessons from these two, as well as from everybody in the room. So first up, we'll have Raj Pandya, who is going to talk about the Thriving Earth Exchange. And Raj, maybe you just want to introduce yourself and a little bit about your background, and then go into your talk.
Yeah, all right, okay, thank you. So first of all, thank you for showing up. We had like this fear that we were talking to ourselves. And since it is a small group, I think we can keep this totally informal. So if I say something that is stupid, you can stop me right then. Stop me. Maybe I should say to me. So this. I guess one thing I'd like to do. Well, okay, I'm just going to start with a story. This is a true story, and I think it motivates a lot of what I'm going to talk about in this talk, and a lot of I think even what we're sort of seeing in terms of public reactions to participation in science. And it's not about me, but it really resonates with me. And it's a true story about a kid who goes to graduate school, and he comes home from graduate school, and his grandmother says to him, "Tell me what you learned in graduate school at the end of this first semester." And he kind of looks at his grandmother and he says, "It's pretty complicated, Grandma. It's kind of tactic." She's like, she's not having it, so she just says, "Tell me what you learned." And so he takes a deep breath and he explains what he's been doing. And his grandmother pats him on the shoulder and says, "This is good work. Go back to graduate school." And he goes back and he comes home to visit again about a year later, and the same thing happens. It's a little harder to explain. He's a little more into the details. But he explains it, and his grandmother says, pats him on the shoulder and says, "This is good work. Go back to graduate school." At the end of his third year, he comes home, and his grandmother sits him down again, and this time he's sort of ready. He says, "You know what, Grandma, we're really in the details. There's words we use that I don't even know how to translate into our language, the language you and I share. I'm sorry, I can't explain what I'm doing." And she pats him on the shoulder and says, "Don't go back to graduate school. If what you're learning can't even be translated into our language, how can it be useful to our people?" And the irony of this story, the most ironic part of the story, is the young man is about as a guy named Greg Kahatnik, who was a graduate student in science and education So I think, so let's imagine instead of going off to graduate school and coming home to tell his grandma about what he had done, what if he had surveyed his grandma and her community about the priorities, and he had taken those to graduate school? And what if he had seen his career as a bridge between that community and graduate school? And what if he had built sort of a research program together that was locally relevant, but pulled in resources and attributes of science and science literacy? And that's kind of the vision that drives this thing called the priority research. What if we reframed the scientific discourse so it wasn't about outreach, but it was about sort of authentic engagement in the process of science and co-creation in science? And that's what we're trying to do. It's communities and scientists working together. It's volunteer scientists. That was an accident of the program. We didn't start out trying to have these be volunteer projects, but it turns out it's one of the best features of our program because it allows people to engage really authentically. It creates a level playing field. Often our scientists are engaging with nonprofits who are sitting on mismatched chairs trying to solve some community issue, like pollution, producing plants in their neighborhood or something like that. And for somebody to come in with a $20,000 or $30,000 budget, which is small by scientist standards, it's huge by the nonprofit standards, and it sort of pulls it away from the dynamic of quality. The other piece is, frankly, it allows the scientists to really engage in the local issue and not have to worry about whether it's publishable, whether it's going to count for tenure or promotion, or any of those things. And it sort of speaks to, I think, a sad and maybe problematic thing about our culture, right? Which is that what you do in the local community to contribute science to solving a problem actually counts less than a publishable paper. So long term, we'd like to see that change. Short term, our approach is to try to enable these projects in the so, nobody's upset? Good. All right. So when we thought about this actually predates sort of recent political events. This goes back about 10 years to we started thinking, the American Geophysical Union started thinking about its 100-year anniversary. And our mission is to advance discovery in the earth and space science for the benefit of humanity. And we're really, really good at part A. We've got some of the largest journals, some of the most read journals. We have an annual meeting with over 23,000 people. We're really good at advancing discovery. We really suck at part B, right? And you don't need to look any farther than the climate debate to realize that we've, in some ways, been suboptimal in our participation in that. And it's not entirely our fault, but like, I sort of think that rule that applies to like relationships also applies to the relationship between science and society. We can either point out everything society is doing wrong and try to fix them, or we can try to fix ourselves. And so AGU started thinking about what it could do differently to approach this disconnect between science and society. And originally we thought we'd do a large-scale research effort that would look at the communication issues. You know, why is it hard to reach across and to engage people in science? And as we talked to more and more people, they said that'd be great, but there's a lot of research already. What would really be interesting, what would really be different is working in the places people live and work and play. What if you focused on that last mile of science and enabling local decisions? So if somebody's trying to figure out how to remediate a pond, that's actually what this is a picture of. This is Berlin, Maryland, where the city took over a former chicken plant, and they want to know how they can get that pond up to the place where it could be a place where their kids could go swimming and do recreational stuff. And so we reconnected them with the scientist who is helping them monitor the subsurface of the pond, the soil at the bottom of the pond, and try to understand what the ecological conditions of that are and how they can communicate them. That's an example of the kind of really localized projects that we engage in. The foundation of it is a notion of community science, right? This is actually one of the very first projects we did. It was in Denver, and it was a group of residents, neighborhood coalition, that was very interested in public health. They'd done a lot of food surveys. They'd understood that they were a food desert. They'd actually gone all the way up to city council and lobbied for changes in law, rules, regulations about how you could grow and sell produce so that they could encourage local gardens. And they got interested in how air quality was influencing the health of the neighborhoods. So they asked if they could find a scientist to work with to design an air quality monitoring program that allowed them to really advocate. It wasn't understand first what the air quality issues were and then advocate for themselves. As some of you might know, Colorado recently legalized marijuana, and now that's part of the sampling criteria that they're looking at. What's the effluent look like from some of these grow facilities, which are large warehouses that are typically situated in neighborhoods that have lower property values, right? So it's affecting some. Anyway, we helped them connect with a graduate student, actually. She's a mechanical engineer, and she's doing kind of a dual thesis now in the mechanical engineering department and also in the education department that focuses on participatory science methods as applied engineering. So it's the notion of community science. It's doing science with people in every step of the process, from designing the initial project together to figuring out how those results translate into action and translate into policy. And an example of that is one of the chemicals they were trying to remediate was a dry cleaning chemical. They realized the same remediation strategy that works for that works for radon. So they coupled to a radon program and were able to help residents apply for funds so that they could use radon remediation that also remediates some of the dry cleaning chemicals. So, it wasn't something the scientists thought of when they designed the project, but by sitting down with community leaders, they realized that if they're going to be testing, they better come up with a solution. One of the things we do is we sit down with the community leader, we try to understand what their priorities are, and then we try to map those priorities to geoscientists, and we try to find volunteers who would work on those projects with them. We can find technical skills in about 15 minutes. We have no shortage of people with incredible technical expertise. Where we really spend our time and where we really look hard is to find people who can practice science with humility, who can realize that science is a piece of the puzzle and a part of what needs to happen, but it isn't the full sort of, it isn't the only seat at the table. We interview scientists, right, to see if they'd be interested in doing this. And I remember one interview we asked him, why do you want to get involved in this project? He said, because I want the city council to understand that the only rational basis for making any decision is science. We were sort of like, wow, maybe, it pointed out the need to do some education programs with our scientists, let's put it that way. This is my favorite example of science with humility. This is a project in Afghanistan, in the Pamir Mountains. In this area, people have traditional calendars that they use to guide their agricultural and pastoral practices. These calendars are incredibly localized. You can marry someone from a village 10 kilometers away and have to learn a completely different calendar. And that's because it's a mountainous region, so 10 kilometers of distance is a huge difference in climate and in weather and in what grows and why. And calendars are tied to that. They haven't been using these calendars for about the last 100 years. You can sort of imagine why. There's been a lot of conflict, there's been a lot of competing interests. So they're starting to recover these calendars. Elders are starting to be interviewed and remember and reapply these calendars, and they're finding they don't match conditions around them. The climate's changed right out of the moment. And so what they've asked for is to work with climate scientists to figure out how they can incorporate climate science into the traditional process by which they're constantly revising and adapting the calendars. I think that is the coolest thing in the world. Some of our scientists are wondering why we're supporting a project that isn't science-based. That's what science with humility means. It means being able to see your science in a context that isn't just about science. But it comes with rewards. You also get science with grace. This was a project we did in Africa. In West Africa, there's a meningitis belt, which is this sort of region just south of the Sahel, where meningitis is absolutely endemic. So the kind of meningitis that we have in the United States and in Europe, there's a very good vaccine for. Most people have probably been vaccinated in this room against that kind of meningitis. The vaccine is, you can give it to little kids. It's good for decades, or at least a decade, and it confers herd immunity. Once you get up to a certain level of vaccination, you're good. The vaccination that's available in Africa, where this kind of meningitis is endemic, can't be given to little kids. It's only good for 2 years, and it doesn't confer herd immunity. So the strategy for managing meningitis in West Africa is to contain epidemics by vaccinating around. What's interesting is that everybody who who lives in these regions knows that meningitis is only a problem during the dry season. It's common knowledge. In fact, in some languages, it's referred to as dust disease. So the science with grace part is by understanding that and by working with local community folks who had that knowledge, we were able to design a program that connected with the World Meteorological Organization to bring in humidity forecasts so that we know when the disease season would end naturally, and we could target vaccines to areas that were going to stay dry, where the disease would persist without the vaccinations. The best part about this project, though, is it's irrelevant now because the Gates Foundation invested a little bit of money in developing a new vaccine that's actually good over time and can preserve immunity, so they don't have to do this reactive strategy. With the tiny exception that there are emerging strains that, because the selective pressure of the dominant strain is taken care of with this vaccine, are starting to emerge. That's the science of grace, being able to recognize and incorporate local knowledge. Not as like a token or something that you can sort of cite in a paper, but really foundationally in the design of the research. So that's the Thriving Earth Exchange. That's what we're trying to do. We're up to about 50 projects. Our goal is to get up to 100 by 2019, and to actually, that's our sort of short-term goal. Our long-term goal is to really subtly change the culture of science so that this kind of work is part of what we do. Right? That it isn't just about advancing scientific discovery, but it's actually taking responsibility for that last step of translating that into action in a partnership way. Right? I think about it sort of like partners in science. The founder of the National Center for Atmospheric Research, Walter Orr Roberts, once said that it's a privilege to do basic research, and in exchange for that privilege, we have a moral responsibility to give back. And so that's kind of where the Thriving Earth Exchange is situated. But it has some advantages for science. Outside of that, right? So it builds public understanding of science. People who participate in the Thriving Earth Exchange projects with us say that they learn science, they value science, right? It seems pretty self-evident that if you're solving a problem with science, you value science. They become advocates for science. We've had city leaders go to their local representatives and talk about how important science has been to them in managing their city. And I think one of the things it's opened up new career paths for some of our members. Like many science societies, I think HU has a lot of people who join as students and then drift away as they move out of research and into other aspects of science. This has been a way to hold on to them. Not only hold on to them, but actually help some who have come up in a research path and are now looking for other opportunities because they sort of see the future of 5 postdocs moving every 2 years is not really where they want to go. Or they're really interested in using their science to do good, and they want to find a way to couple that with their career. This has been a way for them to learn some of those skills and develop some of that job. And then the last thing is, because these kinds of projects require a really diverse set of skills, we seem to be drawing from a more diverse group of people who want to participate. So it's actually become a way for us to engage members who maybe have traditionally been underrepresented in science. And if you know anything about geosciences, you know that we have lower rates of minority participation than physics. We need it desperately. So that's kind of where we are, and I guess what I'd like to leave you with is the idea not that the Thriving Earth Exchange is cool, but that approach, that idea of community science, that engaging people, leveraging volunteers, leveraging your membership in the places they already live, work, and play, and helping them contribute to solving their local issues can be a huge asset as we think about how we reframe science, not as something elite people do at distant institutions that can be cut when budgets are tough, or as part of a reaction to sort of whatever it's a reaction to, but as something that's rooted in the places people live and work and has local relevance. And I think if we do that, we can start to remedy situations like this. This is a picture from Mumbai, India. It's actually one of the largest slums in the world. It's right next to the Malabar Heights, which is one of the most expensive areas for state in the world. Like rents in Malabar Height are higher than Manhattan, right? And this is a water pipe that's delivering water to that neighborhood, running it through one of the largest slums in the world where there's no access to that water, and substituting for an ecological system that's been so degraded that it no longer be reliable for supply of residents. Right? Look at that and think, how did the science not be part of fixing that problem? That's really, at the end of the day, I think that's what the change is trying to do. With that, thank you. That's it. Thank you.
I'll bring up Celeste's slides. Celeste Rolfing's the COO of ACCESSE, and if you want to take off, and I'll get it.
Okay, right, so I think probably most of you know ACCESSE,